If you grill it, he will come.
Hey.
Hey.
Is this heaven?
Nope. It's Fareway.
Hey guys, good practice today.
Man, I'm hungry.
Me too. I know just the spot. Go long. No, way longer.
Everyone knows the best route for good times and great food takes you to Whiskey River in Ankeny. Lunch, late nights, or just catching up with friends? This is your spot.
About time you guys got here. Well, you did have a head start.
In the heart of the district, Whiskey River.
A fuel choice that even rivals can agree on? Now that's worth the hype. Cheaper, cleaner, and homegrown. Pump it up with unleaded 88.
Alabama, Roll On North America Tour, presented by Kenworth. Saturday, October 19th, Wells Fargo Arena. Special guest, Exile, Alabama, live. All your favorite songs from the greatest country band of all time. On sale now at HighVTix.com. Produced by Outback Presents.
Two guys, two Chris's, one network. Iowa Everywhere. It's time for Two Guys with Chris Williams and Chris Hassel. Presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery from the Channel Seed Studios. Where? Everywhere. Live and always on demand at Iowa Everywhere.
All right, you guys are gonna love this historical exhibit full of a bunch of artifacts. Now, this is called physical media. This used to be how people listened to and watched things. And this is one of my favorite exhibits, the old-time radio host. Talk about ancient history. This is a Nebraska fan back when they were actually good at football.
What is up? Welcome to game day. It's actually game day. This isn't this week 0 garbage that we experienced last weekend. The games start tonight. I'm Chris Williams. He's Chris Hassel. We are joined as always by Maddie Van Winks here in the Channel Seed Studios. We are presented by our friends at Fareway Meat and Grocery. How goes it today, Christopher?
I'm really excited. It feels like first day of the NCAA tournament to me. That's kind of what.
Wow.
Now, Saturday's going to feel way better than this. I know that. But we've got like 21 games tonight, something like that.
Yeah, 4 Big 12 teams are playing.
4 Big 12 teams. I think there's 5 ranked teams, 4 or 5 ranked teams in action. Yeah, it's mostly FBS against FCS, but who cares? We've got football to watch. We have multiple games. I'm going to be using the multi-view on YouTube tonight. I already told my wife.
Get the hell out of here.
5 days, leave me alone. This is it. This is my weekend.
My wife actually broached the subject to take the kids to Adventureland on Sunday.
Well, Sunday there's only one game and it's at night, so
I guess we could
that one.
But
I think you should take that.
The problem is what next week looks like schedule wise, because I don't know if you heard, Murph and Andy are going to start on Iowa Everywhere next week. 1 o'clock start time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I'll be out with those boys for much of the week, helping with their tech, and because if you throw like a tech problem at Keith or Andy, it's just like
I'm not the best with this kind of stuff. Like you and Van Winks have kind of had to hold my hand a little bit as we.
Let's be honest, Van Winks has held all of our hands.
and Aiden as well. But Keith and Andy, we almost didn't get here. Keith almost shut this entire partnership down just because he was so worried about the technology. Oh my God, what am I going to? I'm going to have to buy a camera? What? Oh no! I
have to plug it into the computer. Oh my God!
A microphone at my house? No way! But we are releasing the new schedule today, so you don't have to take a screenshot of this if you're watching live on YouTube. We're going to be blasting this out on social media. But this is what our lineup is going to be starting Labor Day, starting Monday. It's going to be like this every week. We've got a lot planned, CW. We're still going to be 2 days a week, but we're adding in Murph and Andy. We're adding in the Instant Iowa on Saturday. So why don't you go ahead and take us through what this week is going to look like every week this fall.
So we got Maddie's All Access with the Iowa Event Center for some non-sports stuff. That's on Tuesdays. CW Pod is almost exclusively going to be on Tuesdays. Like I've slotted that in there. It's good for me to have a set schedule with that. So
why did you start on Tuesday?
Well, because
podcast with Monday.
Well, I thought you already did Monday. I apologize. Yeah, so you got us.
Take us all the way through it, brother.
Murph and Andy at 1 o'clock. We're at 8:30, so you got all your reaction, all your game day reaction. That's coming up on Mondays. Randy Peterson's column will always be up on Monday morning. His column on Thursday morning is already up right now at iowaeverywhere.com. For anyone asking, you simply go to iowaeverywhere.com and you click on articles and you click on the one you want. It's just like every other website, but we are doing something different here where, yes, we have the written word now, where we didn't have that over the last 2 years. So all access on Tuesdays, CW Pod on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Murph and Andy at 1 o'clock. That is live. Bigger Than 12 was a phenomenal debut for that show yesterday. If you're a Big 12 fan, these guys, Derek Duke and Jake Brind, are going to carve out a little niche, I promise you, in the Big 12 market, because there's not a lot of these Big 12 shows. Mm-hmm. There's just not many of them. There's a ton of Iowa State ones. There's a lot of like team-specific ones. A good Big 12 show is hard to find, so we're creating that with those guys.
And that's going to be available as soon as you wake up on Wednesday.
Yes. Yeah, I believe they're recording Tuesday nights for that show.
So I wanted the exact time because I know some of you get up really early. It's going to be available as early as 4 a.m. on Wednesday.
Then, so John Miller is writing Hawkeye and Big Ten columns for us.
Oh, I thought he was doing politics for us.
No. Yeah, for those, John Miller is not writing a political column for Iowa. But honestly, like, if you're our age or a little bit older, like, Miller's the guy I want to hear from. Like, when it comes, we had him on Hawkeye Sunday the last 2 years, and now we have you and Andrew Downs that are going to do Instant Iowa right after Iowa games. Like, the second the game's over, they're going live. And Downs is going to be downplaying everything. You're going to be overreacting to everything.
Yeah, I think it's either going to be a really good partnership or a really bad one. Because I'm not going to let him sugarcoat everything. He's not going to let me shit on everything. And we might get on each other's nerves.
So there you go. That got us through what? Now we're to Thursday. Two guys at 8:30 in the morning, live, legends and listeners. Those guys come out a day later because they are real journalists, and they want to talk to the coaches and stuff before they do their show, which I respect. Randy Peterson column, every Thursday he's doing picks. We're doing staff picks on all the big games.
He even got Murph to do some picks. By the way, I want to point out, legends and listeners, just like Bigger Than 12, that's going to be available on 4 a.m. Central Time or so on Thursday morning. So as soon as you get up, Wednesday, it's Bigger Than 12. As soon as you get up Thursday, you'll have legends and listeners.
Friday, Murph and Andy will be doing their live show at 1 o'clock to take us into the weekend. Saturdays, Iowa postgame with Hassel and Downs, and then we will have Cyclone Sunday with Ben Bruns on Sundays. That will sometimes be up on Saturdays, too. It will kind of depend on what Bruns is doing that day, but him and Aiden, basically it's Aiden interviewing Bruns. It's X's and O's. It's really diehard stuff. So I think that's it.
That was one of the worst run-throughs of a week I've ever heard. I mean, you started on Tuesday, then you had to go back to Monday.
Well,
you went to Wednesday, and then you jumped to Saturday for Instant Iowa, and then back to Thursday, Friday.
Well, I was out all night at that Channel C Blackhawk concert.
Hang on, before we get into the Blackhawk concert, the Instant Iowa. Can I just speak on that for a second?
Sell me this show.
Really excited to be doing this. Here's the thing. We plan on being up, boom, instantly as soon as the game ends. But I tell you what, if it's a blowout, if we sense people are already ready for a post-game show, we can jump on even before the game ends. So keep an eye on social media. X mostly will be alerting you when we'll be jumping in for Instant Iowa. We're going to go live. You're going to be able to see it live on YouTube, just like many of you are watching this live on YouTube right now too, guys. And most people listen to the podcast after. We will post the podcast immediately when we're done. We're not going to go. I mean, some games we might only go 20, 30 minutes. Some games we might go an hour. It's all going to depend. And we're going to be reading your thoughts in the chat as well. No call in. All these old, my dad's like, "Are you going to be taking calls?" No, this is 2024.
Absolutely not.
We're not taking calls, but we've got the chat going. Like right now, I see Big Hawkeye Kelvin, who I think he's been banned before from the chat, but he is under the assumption that I've been fired by CBS Sports HQ, and I have not. I'm actually going in there later on today.
You can watch him in about 3 hours.
But I am not doing Learfield this season because Learfield is not doing that package anymore. Mike Golick Jr. literally ate them out of that coverage. He spent so much money on food,
too many
barbecue
donuts,
shops,
too many donuts after the
too
game.
much. And I think one of the last things was the trip to Ames, and we just went ham.
Well, we all went to Estas, the taco place, at about like midnight.
Yes,
and
that's right.
I'm pretty sure Mike Golick. So remember my friend Cooper? He ordered us like 100 tacos or whatever. Remember they just brought that.
It was
giant
amazing,
plate, and I'm pretty sure Golick ate half of them.
That guy can put it down.
That was a fun night.
It was. But I'm really looking forward to this because it's the first time. Look, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to be out there calling games, but this is going to be the first time maybe ever since I was in high school that I'm going to be able to sit around on Saturday and watch the games from my couch.
I'm a little bit envious. That's why I love road games, because it's like, man, I can just I still have all my responsibilities, but it's from home, and I feel you, brother.
Because I started when
you'll be better at this show because of it.
Oh, you think I need to improve?
No, I'm telling you, I'm better at this show. Mm-hmm. I was better when I was doing radio when Iowa State's on the road because I'm watching everything.
You're seeing it, yeah. It's not like last year flying all over the country, not
Great
being
experience.
able to watch many games live, and having to I follow them, I watch bits and pieces, but then I have to watch it all back after. It's not a great viewing experience. But this is like in college, I was calling St. Ambrose games every Saturday. I didn't see any Iowa State games live for the most part. And then I go to WHO TV in Des Moines, and I'm either in Ames or I'm in Iowa City for that one game. And when you're covering a game, you're there the entire time, like the whole day. If it's a 2:30 game, you're already there by the time the 11 a.m. kickoffs start. You're there all the way through the afternoon games and many of the evening games. You just don't see much. Then I go to ESPN. I'm working every Saturday in studio. Then I go to CBS, and for the last 8 years, I've called basically a full slate of games. Mm-hmm. So I'm always out on the road, not being able to really lock in other than a weekend here or there. But I'm really looking forward to this. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Like I've got the quad box on YouTube, but it makes the games too small. I feel like I'm going to have to scoot my couch all the way up.
No, we need to get you more TVs.
More TV? Oh, I think I need a bigger TV. That's the thing. Like
No.
What do you mean?
You want multiple
What if I
TVs.
had one like 200-inch monstrosity, and then I could do the quad boxes, and they would be big?
You need to hire somebody in that room of yours, your podcast room, and get 4 TVs up on the wall on the other side. You just sit there and you just go Al Bundy and just have your hand down your pants all day. and that's you on a Saturday.
Maybe. Kyle says that for Instant Iowa, there's an audience for call-in shows. We're missing an opportunity. If you want a call-in show, there's plenty of call-in shows that are an hour and a half after the game. Yeah, when does Sound Off normally hit?
They don't
hour and a half after?
Hour and a half. So, like, you guys won't even be on when those guys go.
So there's still going to be a market for that. There's a lot of great
go and support our friends,
post-game shows.
Ross and Travis. We want you to.
Whether it's if you're in Eastern Iowa, WMT, I know they've always had a post-game show. But this is our thought here was like the game ends and people you want to be able to either vent or celebrate right away. You want thoughts right away. And, if you're listening to the radio network, it's just kind of Dolphin. This season it'll be Pat throwing to a bunch of commercial breaks, waiting for Kirk Ferentz to talk to them, waiting to get a player in the postgame. And then it's an hour and a half till the actual postgame show. If you're watching this on TV, these networks, for the most part, are going to the next game instantly. Like, there's nothing.
For what it's worth, too, and Andrew Downs and I talked about this on CW Pod, the reason we're not doing this for Iowa State is I'm already doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We do that at Cyclone Fanatic.
Cyclone Fanatic has Cyclone fans covered.
Yeah, and I've been doing that for 10 years now, pretty much what you guys are describing, just in one iteration or another. So that's why. And then nobody has what Bruns is doing for us. So it's piece it all together. We're sister companies, like it all flows together. But that's the rationale behind that. I also want to remind everybody this is a big deal to us to remember to rate, subscribe, and review to everything we're doing as we're trying to build this thing up. The one thing we can do is we can manipulate algorithms, and when you guys do those things, it does help Iowa Everywhere grow, especially on YouTube, because it disperses the content throughout, like, even people who don't subscribe to it, but they're college football fans, which is what we want. So rate, subscribe, review. We would appreciate all of that. Real quick, thank you to our friends at Channel Seed. We were a huge part of their awesome event last night.
Yeah, I had some FOMO last night.
Oh, my God.
Looking at the stuff that was – and, look, I'm not a Blackhawk fan, okay?
I am. I love Blackhawk.
But – it just looked like a fun time, just hanging out, drinking some beer.
I'll tell you our seedsmen throw a hell of a party.
Van Winks was out there too, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Van Winks was there. Jake Brind was out there. Johnny Liebel, our phenomenal cameraman, Jacob Moyer, was out there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And our friends at Steeple Ridge.
Yep. Pat Hoffman was out there giving bourbon away.
So good.
Steeple Ridge.
By the way, you see my hat I'm wearing today?
Erling, Iowa.
For what it's worth, that man makes damn good whiskey. Oh my God, we were doing all the samples last night before the big Blackhawk show, and God, it was good. So we had a heck of a time, and I love me, Chris. Like I want to partner with people we like, and that we can, do things with. And this was incredible to be a small part of it. There's our buddy Matt Nelson right there. He was there. We had so much fun.
Is that Nelson drinking a water?
I did see Nelson's wife was with him, so maybe he was behaving.
Get a water and an Ames lager.
Oh, okay. It looks like he's got both. Okay, perfect. Yeah, hydrate at the same time you get drunk.
And then Joe Hora, who has kind of been our key, contact in all this. It was his birthday. So we were celebrating that as well. So just a really fun night. And I had so many people, Chris. It's so funny. I get this all the time. At events like this, they'll come up to me and be like, yeah, son of a bitch Hassel wouldn't fit in here, would he? And I always tell people, he is an elitist, and he gets really annoying, and we all want to wring his neck, but he's actually a bit of a chameleon. You can take Hassel anywhere, and he'll fit in and have fun anywhere you go.
Yeah, I can play roles.
Yeah. You would have loved it. Next year, though, there's talk of this being bigger and better.
And bolder?
I'm just saying, if that's the case, we'll get you up there. Do a live show from it. Ooh, yeah.
Erling, Iowa. Steeple Ridge. You still have that at the start of your CW pod.
Yeah,
also,
I'm keeping it just to make you mad.
Also, who is this person pretending to be you in the studio putting on a headset? Van Winks, can you pull up the intro to the CW pod where it's the Steeple Ridge part of it, I think in the Channel Seed studio, and it's supposed to be Williams. It's supposed to be Williams going in and putting on a headset and sitting at the...
The only way I can do it is if I roll the intro.
Just roll the intro. Let's watch it.
We recommend listening to the CW pod with a glass of Steeple Ridge bourbon. Grown, distilled, well-rested, and bottled in Erling, Iowa. Now from the Channel Seed Studios, this is the CW pod. Fuel.
Who's that guy? Who's the guy? It says
hair.
Now in the studio, it's the and there's a shot. It's the back of a head.
It should be me.
And it's a guy that has like this really bushy, curly hair with a headset on, and we're supposed to believe that's bald ass Williams.
It should be me in that photograph. You're right. They're in the video.
What is going on? The quality control, and this is also one of the reasons the Murph and Andy deal almost fell apart. Keith can't handle it. Keith is a perfectionist. And when he sees stuff like this, we had the Murph and Andy press release on our Iowa Everywhere website. And it was a picture, it was a still frame of the video where the four of us are walking like it's Tombstone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it cropped out the ends. You were out, Keith was out. So it said, big announcement, Murph and Andy coming to Iowa Everywhere, and it's me and Fails. And Keith's wife, Jenny, saw that, showed Keith, and he had a conniption.
Yeah, he was like convulsing in the corner due to anger. So let's get after it. I think we should just go into our game day, our games to watch, our Centurion Stone cold locks of the week, and then we'll do some Cyhawk stuff after that and make our picks. What about you? Does that sound good to you?
Sure. Yeah.
Wake up, it's game day, baby.
Get up. It's game day. Chris Williams and Chris Hassel take a look at this week's best games, powered by Game Day Men's Health.
All right, new segment.
You knew about that.
Okay, what's the gist of this segment? Because we have two different ones here.
Yeah, so this is the games we're looking forward to the most.
Okay.
And then we'll have our newest segment, our Centurion Stone Cold Locks of the Week. For my buddies over at Centurion Stone of Iowa.
Okay, so for Get Up,
this
it's
is our
Game
top
Day,
three
Game
games.
Day Men's Health.
Let's go.
It's our top three games of the weekend. It's our favorite games. Williams, I'll let you lead us off.
Okay, Penn State at West Virginia. Massive game for the Big 12. Don't let anybody tell you differently. The Big 12, this is a perception spot. This is the same conversation we've had with Iowa in the playoff. Like, Iowa's going to face a perception problem when it comes to humans voting on who goes into the playoff. The Big 12 is facing that as well. They have to get some of these marquee non-conference wins. And, I know there's a lot of Big 12 fans that are rooting against Colorado tonight and Deion Sanders. You should not be rooting against them.
That's a great point.
The Big 12 needs as many of these wins as possible,
and you know
and
what?
This is a big one.
And it's not just about, getting teams into the playoff this year. They're going to start a tally, and this is going to go on for years. When we try to figure out where does the Big 12 stack up, how on par are they with the other main conferences? And if you lose all these games, that's going to be held against you for a long time. But if you start ticking some of these off, then that's going to be in the back of your mind years down the road when it's going to play into how we perceive the conference years down the road is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, 9.5-point spread here for Penn State. Penn State dominated this game a year ago. West Virginia, remember, we didn't even know if Neil Brown would make it through the year. They outperformed. They think they have an NFL quarterback. They think they can compete for a Big 12 championship. So this is a massive game, not only for West Virginia if they want to do those things, but I'm just saying for the Big 12 in Morgantown. You've been there, Chris. It's a brutal place to play.
Yeah.
If they could pick off a team like Penn State, the 8th-ranked Nittany Lions, that's a big deal for the league.
That's going to be a hornet's nest. I just don't think West Virginia is good enough to be at that level, even with the huge home field advantage. But I am looking forward to see it because Penn State's got, I think, more pressure on them this season than they've had in the past because it's it really is playoff or bust for James Franklin now. I mean, we kid about people saying Iowa's playoff or bust. No. Penn State really is, because now at the expanded playoff, they should not miss it, and they've got to start by winning this game.
So there you have it. There's number one for me. You want me to do mine, or do you want to go one by one here?
I don't know. What are you doing? What do you want us to do, Van Winks?
Yeah, Van Winks.
What
do you want us to
do?
give
his number one.
Okay. There you go.
What, are we going? I guess I didn't really give an order. Is this supposed to be in order?
Yeah, do the order you put on the rundown.
All right. So I've got North Dakota State at Colorado. Now, I don't know if North Dakota State's going to win this game. The reason I just really am interested in watching it is because I legitimately do want to see Shedeur Sanders play quarterback. I want to see Travis Hunter play both ways. I'm interested in all of the stuff that comes around Coach Prime, even though he's been an absolute ass to our great friend Sean Keeler. I just want to see the whole pomp and circumstance here.
Absolutely.
I don't think North Dakota State is good enough to win this game, but who knows? Maybe they will put a charge into the Buffaloes, and this will be close late. I'm really interested in watching that, and that's tonight. What time does that start?
6:30, I believe, or actually, it's at 7. It's later. I don't know.
later
Matt
than
looked
9.
that up
It's
because
Colorado.
it's
7 Central ESPN.
Okay. So they're starting that at like 5. Or wait a minute, they're in Mountain, so they're starting it at 6 in Boulder. Okay. Number 2 for me, similar type of game to the first one. It's just not as bright. The lights aren't as bright, but South Dakota State and FCS Power at Oklahoma State. Rumblings of an Ollie Gordon injury. This is a tricky spot for Oklahoma State, but again, like Chris, this is perception for the Big 12. That's what I'm keeping an eye on.
You can't lose this game.
Yeah, and they started slow last year. They lost to South Alabama at home before ended up winning 10 games and playing in a Big 12 championship game. Keeping an eye on Oklahoma State tonight, or not tonight. That would be a game on Saturday. But got to get out of the gates fast.
I think 9.5 the last I saw it.
Scary.
Who do you see having a better chance to win? South Dakota State at Oklahoma State or North Dakota State at Colorado?
Probably North Dakota State at Colorado.
Because that line is very similar.
Well, the only reason I say that, and I'm going to contradict myself here in a minute, but I'll explain it when we get there. Oklahoma State has like 18 starters back, something like that. Like they've got a 6th-year quarterback. Like they shouldn't. If Ollie Gordon plays, the best running back in college football, I feel like Oklahoma State and Iowa State are very similar teams as far as they struggled early last year. They bring all these guys back, and they were ascending towards the end of the season. Both of those teams, neither one has an excuse to come out of the gate slow this year. And I think as far as like value bets go, pull up your Big 12 championship odds. Oklahoma State would be the team I circle because it's Gundy. In my opinion, he's kind of like the dean of Big 12 coaches. I know he's quirky and says a lot of weird stuff, but like that's kind of your marquee guy. Really elite running game. I really like this team this year, but this is a tricky game. Like
I don't think South Dakota State's lost since
they're
that 7-3 game at Iowa 2 years ago.
They're the new North Dakota State in FCS, so that's why I put this one. Number 2 for you.
All right, my number 2 game of the week, and again, I'm listing it number 2. I'm not necessarily saying this is number 2. It's Miami at Florida. Miami has a ton of hype again. There's people like Josh Pate who really believe Miami's going to the college football playoff as the ACC champion, and Cam Ward has a chance to be a Heisman Trophy winner, the Washington State quarterback transfer to Miami. Florida, on the other hand, the win total is like 4.5 because of how difficult the schedule is. But Florida's not a terrible team. Like you look at the line of this, it's basically a toss-up, this game. It's basically a pick-em. It's the first time Miami has gone to Gainesville since Tim Tebow was the quarterback at Florida back in 2008. This is a great in-state rivalry down here. I'm glad to see them playing again, and this should be a hell of a game because Miami needs it for the hype train that their season is. We've been waiting for Miami. When are they finally going to be back? And for Florida, Billy Napier to try to keep his job. Florida fans are going to be fired up for this. I can't wait for that one.
Clemson, Georgia for me in my final one, and this is all about Clemson. They're obviously an underdog in this game, but how bad would it be for the ACC if Clemson and Florida State each start 0-1?
And Miami could lose too at Florida.
Great point. Like, that would be a disaster. We're talking about perception here. That's the big thing with this playoff and going into it. How bad would that be for the ACC if their 3 trademark programs all start 0-1, despite playing good schedules, right? So a league game for Florida State. Obviously, Clemson's playing the best team in the country, and then Miami's got to go into the swamp. So it's not crazy. Like, at least they're out there playing real games in week 0 and week 1. But I've kind of buried Dabo. Like, when this whole transfer thing started, I was saying 3 years ago, this guy's toast. He won't evolve. You evolve or you die. I think he's going to probably die there. Like, as far as that goes, is that
this
so
is as big of an underdog as Dabo has been since the 2012 season. They are getting 14. And this game is not in Athens. It's in Georgia, but it's in Atlanta.
It's like that Peach Bowl kickoff.
Yeah, it's going to be more of a neutral field than it is a Georgia home game because Clemson is so close as well. I'm not that interested in this game just because I don't think it's going to be close.
Okay. I don't know enough about Clemson, but man, 0-3. If those three teams all go 0-1 for the ACC, that's a bad.
That was the thing about the ACC, right? Compared to the Big 12, is didn't have the depth, but you had these name brands, and they still could get multiple teams in the playoff. But if they all start 0-1, yikes! I'm going to another neutral site game. This is in Vegas. And I wrote that wrong, Van Winks, on the email to you. I know if you're watching on YouTube, it says USC at LSU. It is in Vegas. USC number 23, LSU number 13. Both of these teams are replacing Heisman-winning quarterbacks. But the bigger questions are on defense for both of these sides. There's going to be a ton of points scored. It's going to be a track meet indoors. It's just going to be a really fun game to watch. And it's USC's first game as a member of the Big Ten.
Still not used to it.
And that's that Sunday night game.
Yes,
ABC.
That's the Sunday game. That's the standalone game on Sunday.
Shout out to LSU. They're always playing these big games early.
Yeah.
They don't back down from anyone. LSU is always featured in one of these
How about
games.
Neither one of us picked Notre Dame and A&M.
Yeah, that is weird.
But we're going to talk about that in just a little bit because that's one of my locks of the week.
You want to do those now? Let's just knock them out.
Let's do it.
I don't believe we have an intro yet for the
There's no
Centurion
sounder?
Stone Cold. We'll get one. This kind of came on. We got this deal done this week. My buddy Judd Luch and
Centurion Stone Cold.
I got audio ready.
Thank you. The Centurion Stone Cold locks. I did. Maddie, you've seen it. Or Hassel, you saw it. My fireplace in my house, in my living room, that wasn't there when we moved in. That used to just be a wall. I hired Centurion Stone of Iowa to come and do that for us.
Oh, it looked great.
A couple of years ago. Yeah, so they do everything. Stone patios. Again, they're really good at the fireplaces too. Anything with stone, these guys do it, and they're really good friends of mine. I've known them forever. They're amazing people, great local company. I couldn't recommend them more. And they're sponsoring our – so what we're going to do, Hassel and I are going to give 2 locks every week. When the NFL starts, these could be NFL, these can be college, it could be whatever we want, and we're going to keep tabs on it throughout the year to see who's smarter. I think we all know how this is going to go. I'm going to totally contradict myself from a question you asked me. I am playing Colorado minus 9.5 tonight against North Dakota State. This is a contrarian play. The majority of people, I believe, would look at this and say you play the Bison because of their history of upsetting FBS opponents. Just a iconic FCS program. Think about what Colorado did last year. When they're healthy, when it's early, they're really good. They have maybe 2 of the 5 best players in all of college football. One of them's at the quarterback spot, right? They're fresh. There's no tape on them. They've got all these new guys. That place is going to be rocking tonight. I think this goes opposite of the way that a lot of people want it to go. And everybody's – you can see it, Chris. Like, you can see it in our comments. Everybody's like, oh, play the Bison. No. You go the other way here, and you play Colorado. If that thing is under 10 like that, I like the Buffs tonight. I'm not high on them. This doesn't really change my opinion on what they do this year, but they're fresh, and there's such a talent discrepancy at those key positions this year. Give me the Buffs.
There's no doubt about that. That's a good point you made about these guys, especially a Travis Hunter who plays both ways and all the snaps he plays. He's fresh right now. Might not be in a month, but right now he's fresh.
And even like the question mark of Colorado and their lines, right? Well, it's their first string right now, right? Like they're not having to dip into a too deep. The only thing that would give me hesitation is these farm kids from North Dakota State are nasty. Like they're tough as nails, but I like Colorado big tonight.
My first lock, I'm going to go to that game I mentioned that we didn't pick for. This is one of the marquee games of the weekend, and we didn't pick it as one of our top games. The reason I didn't is because I'm not sure that it's going to be close. Texas A&M, -2.5 at home against Notre Dame. Texas A&M has new coaching staff, Mike Elko. I think that might be one of the reasons that people are keeping this thing closer to a pick 'em. But I know that some people inside Notre Dame aren't super happy with the fact that they went out and they got Riley Leonard from Duke as their quarterback. And they
you got
paid
inside
him a bunch of money.
sources
Maybe
here?
Maybe a little bit.
Sourced in?
Mike Elko knows Riley Leonard. Mike Elko coached Riley Leonard at Duke. I called 2 of their games last year where they almost beat Notre Dame and they almost beat Florida State. Mike Elko is a hell of a coach. And Texas A&M just has a lot more talent across the board than Notre Dame does. And this game is in College Station. That place is going to be lit, and it's really going to affect Notre Dame. I think Texas A&M, this was one of Chip Patterson from the Cover 3 podcast. This was one of his locks as well.
Okay.
I love Texas A&M -2.5 against Notre Dame on
I would
Saturday.
tell you, yeah, you sold me on that. I'll absolutely tell you on that one. Number 2 for me is LSU -4 against Southern California. That game in Las Vegas. This is listen, I respect Lincoln Riley for being the quarterback whisperer and all that stuff. I saw him do it in the Big 12 forever. I just think that this is a totally, like, as far as the rosters go, as far as in the trenches go, this general program in general, I don't think this is a competition. I think that LSU is head and shoulders better than where USC is. We haven't seen him without Caleb Williams in a while, and when we did, they sure as hell weren't very good last year. I have no idea what USC is bringing to the table. I have a pretty damn good idea that LSU and whatever Brian Kelly has this year is going to be one of the top 5 most talented teams in college football, and we've seen it from Brian Kelly, like these ascensions that he's had everywhere he's gone. This is a toughness type game, week 1. -4, I'm laying the 4 pretty effortlessly. USC getting beat by LSU. What do you think about that?
I'd play that as well. I don't buy USC as a legitimate playoff contender at this point. Maybe Miller Moss is going to go out there and be a Heisman Trophy contender, and the defense will be improved. I'll believe it when I see it.
They better be a hell of a lot better in the trenches if they're going to beat LSU.
God, no kidding. Final lock. We're coming home.
Oh,
we're going to Iowa City, and we're playing that under, folks. I got it at 40.5. Van Winks, can you look up, make sure that it stayed there? I don't know.
You're sick. Just putting our people through this, betting Iowa unders already. The calendar hasn't even turned to September. You're really a sick human being.
I don't think they've had a total over 40 since the Western Michigan game last year when Iowa put up 41 points, like 41-10 or 31-10, something like that. I don't think they've had a total over 40. And last year, I think only 2 of the 14 games Iowa played, when you count the Big Ten championship and the bowl game, 2 of the 14 games went over 40.
That line has steamed up to 41.
41.
Yeah! Value
Even
play.
better.
Value play.
Even better.
Let's go.
We can push it 41. I'm not buying that Iowa is going to be able to score 35 points in this game.
You're not buying
because do you really think that Illinois State is going to score more than 6?
You don't think
points?
Seth Wallace is just going to open it up to spite Kirk Ferentz?
I see the high water mark for Illinois State in this game as 6 or 7 points. So if that's the case, you're going to need Iowa to hit this over to get to 34, 35 points. And I just look, maybe if they play 10 times, maybe Iowa does that a couple times. But this is one game. And I just think there's a better chance than not Iowa is not going to reach that 34, 35 point mark.
Well, if you've just been hammering Iowa unders for the last 2 years, you've made a lot of money. So.
Yes, you have.
God, remember last year? We would just wait until Sunday when that number would come out and be like, is it in the mid-20s? You know, like they couldn't make the number low enough.
They couldn't.
I kept talking to Mike Palm about that on my show with him last year. It's like they don't, because you can't put it at 18. You just can't. Like
yeah, I mean they were putting it at like 30, and it was still not even close.
And they knew it was too high, but they're trying to get even money. You know, like it wild. Iowa is such an enigma. It is fun. Okay. Real quick, thank a couple of our sponsors. We'll move on to our Cyhawk previews here on Two Guys. We are presented by our friends at Fareway Meat and Grocery, always in the Channel Seed Studios. We saw an ad for big Alabama concert coming up in October. Maddie Van Winks at the Iowa Events Center. What else do we got going on at Iowa Events Center?
Did you hear in that ad, too, that they said the biggest country music act to ever come through Des Moines or something like that?
I don't know. We saw Gretchen Wilson in there about 15 years ago.
Unbelievable.
The Roll On 2 tour.
How do you not? Gretchen Wilson's there, and she doesn't sing Redneck Woman.
And that was like her only hit.
Yeah.
This is pretty early on in her. It was close to like the height of her fame, but Redneck Woman was what got her there.
Yeah, she was opening for ZZ Top, so I mean, she had cooled off a little bit.
Redneck woman, I ain't no high class broad. Going down to Walmart, gonna drag my kids there at midnight.
We should get the Channel Seed guys to bring Gretchen Wilson to Grand Junction next year. Now that'd be a hell of a show.
Hey, I'll tell you what though, Blackhawk put on a hell of a show.
Oh,
Those
man.
guys were good.
Unbelievable.
Good show. Hey, real quick too, that Des Moines Community Classic Hockey game coming to Wells Fargo Arena September 22nd. We do have those discounted tickets available at HyVeeTix.com. Hit that promotions tab on the top. Enter that code everywhere. You're going to get pretty good discount on those seats.
That's awesome. Thanks to
Did you almost say on those teats?
Oh, the teats.
Going to get a real discount on those teats.
All right, let's preview Iowa first, and then we'll get into
And it's not just a
Iowa
preview.
State.
We are
making picks.
We failed it. We have failed at this. We are going to make real predictions for these games this season on this program. I've had to really twist Williams' arm to do it because he's always like, well, I picked the game with one Williams and Bloom. I picked the game.
Honestly, we need to on this show. Realistically, we should probably go an hour and a half on Thursdays during the season because we just have so much to talk about. And it always slip through the cracks back in the day. But we'll do it. We're doing it. You're gonna hold my ass to the fire.
Oh, hold that ass. And I don't have to kiss my dog bite. Because I was right. Cade Mcnamer, QB1 for this game. Did you see at the media availability? I think they were supposed to get McNamara from 10:30 to 11, something like that. And I heard Lystico and some others saying that McNamara didn't show up until like 10:50, and they only gave them like 4 minutes and 10 seconds with him. So not much coming
by
out
design?
of the mouth of I don't know. I don't know if he really did have something that he needed to get out of there for, but I watched the entire conversation with him, and there wasn't much to it. I really wish I could have heard what he had to say about Brennan Sullivan winning the quarterback battle, how the battle went, how he won it. They didn't need to, or they weren't able to get into that, but he did say that he has no injury. There is no injury to his legs. His knee is fine. I love that he said that. I I just hope he believes it. Because right now, a lot of it with Cade McNamara, I fear, is between the ears, which has been a common theme with Iowa quarterbacks over the last several years. I hope that he really does know that he's 100% healthy and he's going to be okay, and he can put that out of his mind and just play football. Give him some short passes. Get that completion percentage up. This is an FCS defense. This is not even an FCS top 10 team. This is not North Dakota State. This is not South Dakota State. This is not even Northern Iowa. This is a team that you should be able to handle easily, and you should put up some good numbers against this team. I don't want to see Iowa just go out there and run all over Illinois State, keep the ball on the ground, and just because you know you can, you do it, because you know you can win that way. I want to see something positive from Cade McNamara before we go into Cyhawk Week. I don't want that to still be, well, geez, well, yeah, they won. They easily won, but McNamara didn't do anything. The passing game didn't do anything. Go downfield a little bit. Work the tight ends and Luke Lachey. Get some design, basically run passes, which is throw it out, complete the pass, get 4 yards. Even though it's a pass, it's really a run. I need to see that from Cade McNamara against a bad team.
Did you have any other depth chart takeaways?
Well, I think me and a lot of other Iowa fans and those that cover the team were surprised to see Kamari Moulton, who didn't get a lot of play last year as a true freshman, get the number 1 spot at the running back position. And some of that has to do with some guys ahead of him that were a little bit banged up. But I think this is a positive sign that Tim Lester is having somewhat of an impact on Kirk Ferentz, because this is just not something that you would ever see from Kirk Ferentz, even if a guy earned it. If he's a redshirt freshman that doesn't have much experience, I don't think Kirk Ferentz is putting him number 1 last year. I think he's still going to go with the veteran guy at number 1. But this year, Tim Lester, he clearly must fit his scheme and what he likes to do. So I'm really interested to see how Kamari Moulton fits this new Iowa offense and how much run he's going to get. Now, look, it's going to be by committee. Everybody's by committee these days for the most part, outside of unless you have the bell cow.
Bloom gave me a nugget yesterday. He thinks Iowa State with Abu Sama and Carson Hansen will be like 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, that's
talking about committee. So,
and sometimes it's 3 guys, and, and it'll be 40%, 30%, 30%. And I do think that you're probably going to see 3 to 4 guys for Iowa at that running back position. But I want to see Kamari Moulton in that offense. I'm interested in that, and I'm interested to see why Tim Lester likes him so much to earn that starting job.
I just want to watch all this motion.
This pre-snap motion?
Oh, man, I just can't wait.
Gonna trick the eyes. We're tricking their eyes.
The tight end just moved.
Well, we got to keep tabs on this, because remember, Lester said that he went back and charted it last year. Iowa only had pre-snap motion on 6% of plays last year. 6%.
Well, that is encouraging if I'm an Iowa fan, that you have somebody. I told you this, like D1 players have watched it. Former Iowa players, a bunch of people, they could tell you exactly what Iowa is going to do just pre-snap. So if you can get rid of that, it doesn't matter if this guy sucks at play calling. You're already ahead of where you were, because the defense doesn't know what's coming all the time. It's
what
scheme. Your line isn't that bad. It's your scheme.
Hey, by everything we've heard, the line is vastly improved. Now, in years past, we've heard that the line has been better, and it hasn't been, really. This year, though, we're hearing that it's vastly improved and that unit is going to be good, and that the running backs are really good.
I like 28. I think he's a good player. I didn't know anything about him, and I went and watched his tape. And
that's Moulton.
Yeah. I didn't know much about him, and I was going through the rundown last night, and I went and did some studying. I think he's a good player.
So what do you think we're going to see? Give us a prediction for Iowa, Illinois State. Give us the up-to-date line, Van Winks. Where are we at with this one? I know it's different. It's depending on where you're at. Some states, they don't even allow FBS on FCS betting.
And we don't have an official sports book, so we can give any lines we want now.
DraftKings currently has this Iowa minus 22.5.
So it's
22.5. Okay.
So there's money on Illinois State based on that. I'll go Iowa to cover 27-3.
27-3 Hawkeyes cover, and the under hits pretty easily.
And I think everybody's pretty. I think Iowa does the majority of its damage, like 21 of the 27 in the first half, and then it's a real. I think both of these games are going to be similar. Like, good thing it's not going to be in the like mid 90s in Iowa this week, because I think the second half it's going to be good, like low 80s.
Perfect.
Not much humidity, so it's going to be perfect fall day. Well, it's actually still summer, I guess. I think Iowa cruises in the second half as boring as sin, and get on to Cyhawk Week. 27-3 Hawks.
I think Illinois State is going to attempt to shut down the run and make Cade Mcnamer throw the ball. I mean, I think that's what any defensive coordinator and any defensive game plan would want to do going into a game against this Iowa offense. I think that there's going to be some real growing pains. It's not going to be pretty. It's maybe going to look a little bit better than the scrimmage, but not a lot. I do think Iowa is going to win comfortably, but it's going to be, I've got it 23-6. So I do not have Iowa covering, and I have the under coming in with a total of 29 there. The total, as you know, is 41 now. It's going to leave a lot to be desired, but I also wonder how, without Kirk Ferentz, how these coaches are going to handle it. Like, are they just going to be, oh, my God, okay, we've got this in hand. Let's just get out of here without making Coach Ferentz mad, without doing anything crazy. And that's why I don't think we're going to see Brendan Sullivan in this game. I think it was Chad Leistico on either Legends and Listeners or Hawk Central this week.
That's a huge mistake.
Say he thinks that Iowa will put Brendan Sullivan in this game at some point.
That's a big mistake.
To what? To not put him in?
Play him.
I agree, especially if the game is in hand.
Because you've got an injury-prone guy in McNamara who hasn't been healthy in years. You've got to get some reps with this other guy when you can. And the way Iowa plays, like with these they shorten these games. There's not a lot of opportunities ever. It doesn't really matter who they're playing to get reps for a guy like that.
But we've been saying this for years with Iowa backups, and Kirk Ferentz never does it. Now, he's not going to be on the field, but I promise you, he's having conversations with these coaches, telling them what they can and can't do going into this game. Look, he's not going to be able to dictate whether or not Seth Wallace decides to go for it on 4th and 1.
Iowa
He will be able to say, you don't pull Cade unless you have to drag him off the field due to injury.
My dream for Iowa State on Saturday is to blow this team out in the first half, and I want to see J.J. Cole get a full quarter and Connor Moberly get a full quarter. Because you're one hit away from,
I think it's really valuable to do that.
Absolutely.
Kirk Ferentz does not. He never has. So I don't think we'll see Sullivan in this game. I hope we do. Not necessarily because I want Cade Mcnamer to struggle. I think even if Cade struggles, he won't be pulled.
I need Linez. I want Linez in the
You want to see Linez instead of Sullivan? Or Linez and Sullivan?
What's Labus up to? Can we get Labus? Can we just see? What do you got, Maddie? Maddie wants to say something before we move on to Iowa State.
So, Williams, your official prediction on the show is 27-3. You have Iowa covering the 22.5. But I'm reading Pete's column.
Yeah, what do I have in that?
Oh, my God, Williams.
You said 26-6. That's
Jesus
not covering.
Christ. You know what he's doing? He's hedging. He's trying to cover his bases. I said over here.
To be honest,
Williams, when we make these predictions, and so I had it pulled up right here. I had my text to Randy Peterson with my picks pulled up. So I made sure. I made sure it's the same.
All right, fine. 26-6.
Well, now you don't even believe it.
I like 27-3 better, I think. I'll go in and edit the picks column. I have the keys to the car. I'll go edit it. My final prediction is 27-3 Hawkeyes.
27-3 Hawks. All
right. Iowa State and North Dakota.
The Fighting Hawks.
They're the Fighting Hawks, not the Sioux. Don't call them the Fighting Sioux.
You just did.
Well,
I'd be canceled.
I did that. I didn't know that they had changed it And
they changed it a few years ago. For a while, they didn't even have a nickname.
Well, when TJ was in the Summit League, they were still that. And that was what I remembered about these this North Dakota State team. They're really inexperienced at quarterback. That not a lot there. They're like a mid-pack FCS team. I am not giving Iowa State a mulligan this year. They should come out firing on all cylinders. From what I've heard about how camp's gone, with all the experience and playmakers returning on offense, I hope Iowa State gets out to a big lead early in this football game and blows this team out and can rest starters in the second half.
Well, I know you hope that.
I think that's what will happen.
You think that's going to happen?
I think that's going to happen. You know what I think, too? We're going to talk too much about the offense. I think Iowa State's defense is way too much for this North Dakota team. I think you get a lot of sacks early. You're going to put these quarterbacks in a bad spot. Still don't really know the quarterback situation for North Dakota, but neither one of these guys have played any sort of an environment like this. I think you may get a pick six early in this football game, a bunch of sacks early. You're going to set the offense up. Iowa State rolls right here. What do you think before I give my pick?
And what is the official line as of right now for this game? Because North Dakota is not as good as Illinois State.
It was 27.5.
27 right now.
27 right now. They're replacing a lot of players, like especially for an FCS team that doesn't have as many scholarships. They're replacing a lot of scholarship guys. This is not a very good team. I think that the Iowa State offense is going to look the part. I think that they are going to look great in the first half and put this game away and kind of put it on cruise control in the second half. And you might see the backups like you hope to see, J.J. Cole and others. We saw J.J., I think, in the first game last year.
We did, yeah. They like split reps the first half, if you remember that. Like we did.
And I had my J.J. Cole pom-poms over here. Yeah!
Yeah, he's tall.
He's 6'6".
He's tall.
He dwarfs poor little
Small Rocco. That's what you call him, Small Rocco.
Boy, was I
Little Rocco Man. Isn't that what Trump called
Rocco?
What Trump called
Little Rocco Man?
Little Rocket Man. That's what Trump called the North Korean dictator.
Kim Jong-un.
Oh, yeah.
Little Rocket Man. Little Rocco Man.
You're gonna
my
get us in
official
trouble.
prediction, and it's the same as you'll see in the Randy Peterson column today, because
I'm just checking to make sure I give the same one here for Iowa State. Thank you very much.
I've got Iowa State 38, North Dakota 7. So that would be an Iowa State cover.
I have 41-10 Iowa State over North Dakota. Junk touchdown at the end for the Fighting Hawks. Real quick, a good question by Kyle in the chat. He's watching on YouTube. More 3-man front or 4-man front for Iowa State? This would be my analysis. They're going to do both this year. I think this is one of the I think one of the biggest overrated things we hear about you got to save something on tape for next week. But I think this may be one way where they do a little bit, and I think you'll see more 3-man front from Iowa State this week, only because they haven't rolled out with a primary 4-man front in years. That is one thing you can keep from Iowa, while still, I think, handily taking care of business in this game. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're primary 3-man in this one. We'll see. I don't know.
This whole put things on tape thing.
It's so overrated.
And it can go either way. Like sometimes you want to put more on tape to make that other team prepare for things that you might not even do. And as an Iowa fan, I don't care what they put on. I want them to be as good offensively as they can possibly be. I want them to feel good about what they've done on offense and be confident going into the Iowa State game. I think that would be worth more than holding stuff back and just letting the run game go to town and impose your will physically on this team and just get to the Iowa State game. I want this offense to feel good about themselves for once.
And then Kirk Ferentz will come back. No, I don't think this will be a very eventful weekend for either one of our teams. I don't think Iowa has a South Dakota State game on its hands like a few years ago.
And that's kind of what you want.
Yeah, this is not you and I playing Iowa State. You know, both these teams roll.
And that's what you want it to be uneventful, because that would mean that there's no, real close call, and there's no big injury, and there's no, oh my God, one part of the team was just completely awful. Because if any of that stuff happens, it becomes eventful.
I have two other really quick topics to hit. Did you see the tweet? The Fox was at Hilton Coliseum last night, the roaming Fox. Did you see
I had been wondering about the Fox because Van Winks hasn't been bitching about it for a month or so.
I haven't seen the Fox for a while.
And that scared me. It really scared me.
But
that's a Bondurant Fox. This was an Ames Fox?
Yeah, Travis, one of our listeners, sent a tweet of a fox roaming around like the steps of Hilton Coliseum, which I thought
this is boring. I have something more important to talk about.
What? Well, you're the one that hates Fox Eye.
Hassel, what song does Iowa come out to when they take
Back
the
in
field?
Black?
So Cyclone Athletics just put out a video.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna play it. I'm not gonna play it with audio, but the song is Back in Black.
No.
And they announced they have a black bus now.
There's a big black bus?
Yeah, and I'm not going to play it because we're going to get flagged for the music,
No.
but yeah, it's...
Is it... Do
well,
you
the bus
take that?
Is cool.
No, it's not.
This
it's
is
just
what
a
the
big
players
black
are going
and
to
white
arrive
bus.
in now, is a black bus.
So do you think that they're trying to maybe tease an intro video that they're going to come out to Back in Black?
They won't do that.
I don't know.
I think they come out to Thunderstruck to go with the siren theme.
You been... Wait, Thunderstruck?
That's what they did last year. Because they're playing like the tornado sirens.
Isn't that an AC/DC song?
Yep.
Yeah.
Why are they copying everything that Iowa is doing?
Why aren't anybody doing Slipknot? Ross Peterson used to say this to me all the time. Slipknot's a local band. Oh, you know what
Taylor,
sucks is your
personal
face.
friend.
That's what sucks. Corey Taylor,
personal friend of you and me.
Yeah, Matty Van Winks and I sat with him at WWE Wrestling for 3 hours one night. It was a blast.
It's too much screaming. It's too heavy for me. You know me. I'm delicate. I can't have that screaming.
Did you see this hoodie Matt Campbell wore on Tuesday?
It was Cy as like a band member.
Oh, I love the
marching band logo.
Is that like a throwback to the big band controversy from a couple of years ago when someone got assaulted?
People are talking though. People are getting upset with the football program, like wearing this cool stuff.
They're like, "Ha ha, we can have it, but you can't."
Did you hear what Rocco told Pate? I got the clip if you want to hear it.
Let's hear it.
Play it.
I do like the logo. I feel like there is a time and place where we can make that, that change, and just not even a full change, but a certain game.
He's talking about the Cy Blender logo.
But
right?
I do love the logo.
Yes.
I do actually have a hat that's actually the same as what sweatshirt he was wearing, and I love it. I wear it all the time. And people do comment about it. They do ask where I got it, but I do like that logo. So I'm on whose ever side that is, and I preach for having a uniform for that in the future.
There you go. We've got all the endorsements we possibly need for the movement.
Yeah, everybody is on the side of changing the logo,
like this
except Jamie Pollard. I mean, you're on the eve, you're on the doorstep of what could be a magical season in Ames, and all anybody is doing is talking about how bad the iState logo is. You got fans mocking up potential like Cy logos. Some guy who is this on Twitter?
This is Joe Summers, our friend.
It's our friend
Joe Summers on Twitter. He's like spending all hours of the night trying to figure out this logo thing, and he ends up making like just a fat ass.
This is
Cy,
big
dad bod
beefy.
Cy.
This is big beefy boy Cy.
The big beefy, the triple B, big beefy boy Cy.
Yep.
Just a total dad bod. Like I could see that as a logo for like the offensive line, an alternate logo, but. Come on, Jamie. Matt Campbell wants it. All the fans want, the players want it. Get rid of this stupid iState logo and go back and embrace Cy.
Cy or in the tornado, like they need to. I do have nuggets. I've heard nuggets that there's going to be more siren in the stadium this year.
More siren?
Yeah, that's it. Did you you probably couldn't even tell and that nothing positive really happened for Iowa State when you were there last year. But when that place is hopping like a night game and that tornado siren's flying throughout the place, it's really cool.
Okay,
they need to lean into that.
How does that help the iState logo?
I'm just saying, like branding in general. Like I like leaning into the tornado thing too.
Well, they tried with the bugle, and we know how
that bugle logo's underrated. It was. I'll take that to my grave.
Yeah.
All right, Hassel.
Adam brings up a good point. Give the I-State logo to Illinois State, who Iowa's playing this week. Because that's the thing. Anybody could be I-State. It's not recognizable. I disagree with some of these Iowa fans that are saying, or Iowa State fans that are saying this is a recognizable logo and it's fine. It's not fine. It's one of the worst logos in sports, period.
You get to work. I don't need you. You need to go and punch that time clock.
Apparently, I've already been fired by CBS HQ because that's what old boy was saying in the comments earlier. So Van Winks, have you pushed out the lineup on social media yet for the upcoming
put that
fall
out
season?
today, this afternoon.
So at some point today, you'll be able to,
whenever Aiden gets out of bed,
this lineup to your phone. We have it all laid out like your mommy laid out for you. That's
a Seinfeld reference.
This Iowa Everywhere lineup with Murph and Andy. And again, Murph and Andy is going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, live, 1 p.m. Central Time. Bigger Than 12 and Legends and Listeners will be Wednesday, Thursday, respectively. Those will be available as soon as you wake up. Bigger Than 12 on Wednesday morning, Legends and Listeners on Thursday morning.
Is that the pod schedule your mommy laid out for you?
Oh, we got to cheers to the weekend.
Cheers to the weekend, yes.
College football, baby.
Yeah, Steeple Ridge Bourbon, baby. Go out, buy yourself a bottle. He's Chris Hassel. For Matt Van Winkle, I'm Chris Williams. Thanks to our presenting sponsor, Fareway Meat and Grocery. Hassel will be on with AD. You'll get him right after the Iowa game. Instant Iowa, the debut on Saturday here on Iowa Everywhere.